Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Well, Mr. Sergey Karaganov is at it again. He's not the only one who wants to change the nuclear weapons use, the doctrine. He thinks that it's too restrictive. He wants to loosen it a little bit. That means he wants the Russians to be able to use nuclear weapons for minor offenses, let's put it this way. What does that tell you? Well, it tells me, this is not something new coming from this guy. What could be considered strange is if the people in the mainstream will pick up on this. If they pick up on this, then there might be a problem. Why? Because, as you know, the Russian Federation has many nuclear weapons, and they could find a reason at any corner to use one or two or three in Ukraine. Let's see what Mr. Karaganov has to say. Right here, Russia Today, 28th of December 2023. Russia's nuclear doctrine must change. Former Kremlin advisor. The West must be convinced that their policies are reckless and could have consequences, says Sergey Karaganov. Russia should revise its nuclear doctrine and lower its nuclear threshold in order to deter the West from pursuing reckless policies, says former foreign policy advisor to the deputy head of the Russian presidential administration, Sergey Karaganov. The political scientist, who is the honorary member of the Presidium of the Russian Council of Foreign and Defense Policy, SVOP, has in the past repeatedly brought up the issue of nuclear weapons in a number of articles, and has suggested that Russia should consider the possibility of carrying out preemptive nuclear strikes against targets in Europe at some points. Karaganov's controversial suggestions have landed him in hot water, as SVOP members even issued a joint letter this summer, and I'm quoting, unequivocally condemning his reasoning and call it irresponsible to assume a nuclear conflict could be limited without spiraling into a global nuclear war, costing millions of lives. However, in an interview with the Daily Storm news outlet published on Tuesday, Karaganov stated that he is, and I'm quoting, very pleased that he initiated a discussion about nuclear weapons. He argued that, matter of fact, the question of a preemptive Russian nuclear strike was put on the agenda has already forced Western leaders to sober up. And I'm quoting, if before my articles the Americans wrote that Russia would never use nuclear weapons, they soon began to write that they could still use them. And now they write how to avoid the use of nuclear weapons by Russia and how, God forbid, not to lose in the Third World War, Karaganov said. When asked to explain why there are no talks about using nuclear weapons back in the 1990s, the political expert explained that Russia at that point was weak and has a false sense that it could merge with the West. I think that's 100% accurate. At that point, Russia was weak and had a really false sense that it could merge with the West. It could have merged with the West, but as a vassal state. But it didn't. Why? Putin got in charge, and Putin said, "Niet." Oh, you don't wanna? Oh, we're gonna make sure that we're gonna cut your little legs, that you wanna get bigger and stronger. And he says, we even tried to join NATO in order to create unified pan-European security. No, they said, we're not gonna let you come in. It's gonna be the only one, Al Capone. It's not gonna be two Al Capones or three Al Capones. No, it's only one. The master of the plantation can't be two masters. Karaganov recalled, noting that Moscow's proposals were all rejected, and instead the US-led bloc chose a path of expansion, undermining Russia's interest. Correct. After the NATO bombing of Yugoslavia in 1999, the Washington's exit from the anti-ballistic missile treaty in 2002, Karaganov said, and I'm quoting, everything became clear to anyone involved in foreign military policy. which was why Russia ultimately decided to start mobilizing its strategic weapon systems. Meanwhile, Moscow has repeatedly stressed that it has no plans to attack Europe. Nevertheless, these guys are making the point right now because they deal with baboons. To attack Europe, Russian President Putin has assured that the country would only resort to nuclear weapons when faced with an existential threat. Well, existential threat could be determined by whom and who interprets that. According to the Russia's nuclear doctrine, the country reserves the right to use its strategic arsenal if it is attacked with nuclear weapons or other weapons of mass destruction, or if the existence of the state as a whole is threatened with conventional means. Something is missing. I know that's one more, which is if our allies are attacked with those kinds of things, not only Russia. So let's say Iran is attacked by the United States of America full-fledged. Russia could help Iran, if they're allies, in defending itself. The right of self-defense should not be infringed. Oh, for some, yes. For others, no. Singular. Now, who's this guy? Interestingly enough, I found this, obviously, Wikipedia, and I read and I got the last sentence of all this, because I can read this in... All right. Right here. Personal life. Ram pam pam. Karaganov owns an apartment in Venice. Got it? That's all I wanted. And then Karaganov has been barred from entering the European Union after his calls to use nuclear weapons. So Karaganov got an apartment in Venice. Why did they mention that one? Oh, he's got money. That means he's corrupt. Well, he's got money. Many people got money, and they're not corrupt or are corrupt. Anyway, you don't find that in other people that in other people's Wikipedia pages. I'm guessing that should definitely qualify with not only an apartment in Venice, but more than that. Anyway, Russia, if this guy is, how should I put it? The nuclear weapons are a good deterrent factor for Al Capone to stay the fuck out of someone's countries, which is, that's why, for instance, North Korea is still where it's at. Pakistan is where it's at. And many other countries that have or will have nuclear weapons. Let's say Iran gets a nuclear weapon. Let's say they don't use it. I know, oh my God, blah, blah. They will just be, their independence will not be threatened, or I don't think Israel will attack any interests of Iranians, or wherever they might have interest. But I don't promote that, but if you have it, why shouldn't I have it? Because you are what? You are a, how should I put it? You have some moral superiority, or because why? Credibility. Then the United States should be the first one, should be stripped of its nuclear weapons. But guess what? You can't. So you see, it's not based on logic, it's not based on even morality or ethics, it's based on power. The United States used 2 atomic bombs onto civilian cities. So yeah, it's okay. Antecedents don't matter sometimes, but matter only whenever we want to make a point. Like, for instance, oh, the Russians invaded unprovoked Ukraine, therefore they're going to invade Europe next. So you are threatened, under threat by the boogeyman. But that doesn't work in US's example. Oh, these guys bombed Yugoslavia. Oh, they invaded Iraq for no legal reason. Then they, lies. And then they got to Afghanistan. Then they got Libya. Then they got Syria. All these things. So what's next? Well, Iran is next, and then probably the Balkans will be next, because Serbia is not following orders, and as of now, Hungary seems to, in Eastern Europe or Central Europe, is not following orders. That's not good. Al Capone doesn't like dissent. And then we're going to move to Taiwan, where we have the woodchuck and China as well. And we're gonna bring Pax Americana. But you can see how Pax Americana works when you look at the past 32 years, so from 1991 up to 2000, let's say 20, 21, 22, that's how Pax Americana. Why? Because the United States had free reign, full reign, whatever it was, it was in charge. It was the sole leader of this world. How did these guys use their leadership? Like that. That means when or if they are allowed to get back to the same position, they will continue with that garbage. Oh, you look at me, smack. You say anything, smack. I don't like you, smack. I like your property, smack. That's the way they ruled in the past 30 years, United States of America. No diplomacy whatsoever, only threats, blackmail, regime change, and straight up invasion. Do you want that? Well, if you are on the winning side, you like that, unless you are moral. If you're moral, you don't like that, even if you are on a winning side, because I don't think that's right. So here is, my friends. This guy wants to loosen up the use of nuclear weapons. All these things, I don't think it would escalate. I'm not promoting that, but as an intellectual analysis, I think if the Russians would have done, let's say, dropping nuclear weapons somewhere in a field, that doesn't have to be, anybody. I mean, they have locations where maybe you can find, maybe not, in Ukraine. Maybe you just hit a military target and you say, well, that's at least a military target, and you destroy that, then I think the Western will be all puffed up. But what are they going to do? Nothing, because they're going to say, well, we did this once, right? Like you guys did it once in Hiroshima, and we're going to do it next time, until and when you surrender unconditionally. Why don't you do that? Oh, it matters if we are the guys who were attacked or not? Well, the Russians can provide a long list saying, hey, NATO did this to us, US provoked us, our security is threatened. No? Okay, should not be considered. I guess that's the way it works, my friends. It's like you go in front of a judge, and when you try to make your defense, start your defense, they say, no, that's no, you can't have the right to self-defense. No, you don't have that. A law does not apply to you like you try to use it. And only to the other side. The same things. Now, that's not justice. And as I said, the United States of America in the past 30 years showed, being the sole leader, military leader and economic, political leader of this planet, showed how it would rule. How it ruled not only one time, what kind of decisions made. So you should expect the same attitude from the same drunk with a loaded shotgun in a bad mood. So drunk, bad mood, with armed with lethal weapons here, weapons of mass destruction. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.